Today I'm going to make a quick video on showing you how to do BMW programming with an Autel, particularly with an Elite scanner, and then also for this video on how to do it on an F chassis BMW. It's a little bit, it's similar, but the hookup connection is different than an E chassis, which I showed in a different video. So this one I wanted to make to show you how to do the hookup and connections for an F chassis and what's needed. Once you do that and hook up, connect, and go forward, everything is pretty much the same. But the connections and equipment is a little bit different. You start off with still the same, needing your Elite or the Pro unit. I'm not sure, again, if the Ultra at this point that is out, and I'm not sure if the Ultra is able to do it and have the capabilities. I haven't asked them or obviously attempted with one, and I'm pretty sure that IM does not have the capabilities to do it. So you have to have a current subscription / warranty. You'll be within that period to be able to have access to be able to do this, and then along with that, obviously, the other hardware equipment. So the J-box that comes with it, with their USB, the OBD2 cable, and this Ethernet cable. What other pieces you need for an F chassis is 2 more additional units. This cable, adapter cable, which is DLC style with an Ethernet port junction, and for the Elite you need a USB to Ethernet adapter, because on the Elite, on the top, it only has USB. There is no Ethernet port. I believe the Pro does have one. I'm not 100%, but the Elite does not. So you cannot connect this directly to the unit. You have to have an adapter. As far as the adapter that I got, and I tried 2 of them, I believe, because one didn't work. It has to be specific. As far as the data transfer rate ability, this is the brand that I got, and I will try to get part numbers for this unit and this unit as well. So these are 2 additional units that don't come with the complete kit when you buy an Elite. With that, you will also need a good, stable, constant power supply, power maintainer style charger, I guess. It's not really you're not charging the battery, you're maintaining a constant power supply voltage that needs to stay constant and steady the whole time when programming an F chassis, because depending on how many modules you would like to do, it could be up to, say, 4 hours. So you need a good constant power supply for that whole time. Also, your scanner unit needs to be fully charged and or connected to a power supply. You do not want that to die in the middle of programming. That would be a bad situation. This is the adapter I was telling you about. It's a USB 3.0, and I believe that's the part number, brand, and this is the Autel Y adapter. Those are the 2 additional items you will need. Okay, power up your power supply in the flash programming mode for this particular unit. Make your connection to the DLC with USB direct to the J-box. This is how you first connect to it, then you'll add the other adapters. Key on the vehicle. You want to make sure your lights are in the off position, and radio and blower need to be turned off. steering wheel needs to be straight and vehicle needs to be on flat ground, and all windows and sunroof stuff needs to be free and clear of anything. No wires running through or any of that, because it will cycle through the window initialization and it'll run the windows open and close without anti-trap. Once you've got your hookups, just go in as you normally would, identify the vehicle, and then you'll get to the main screen where you will then go into programming menu. Okay, here's your main screen. This is where then you pick your programming icon, and this is where it describes how to make the connections, and it shows you with a picture. And this is where I was referring to. The Ethernet cable goes directly into the tablet unit, but if not, you're gonna have to get an adapter, which we do have, and there is that second Y adapter, DLC Ethernet. So your J box directly USB to the one port, the other USB to your Ethernet, and then J box DLC to that portion of the Y adapter, and then that to the car. So make those connections first before going forward. Okay, we got the Y adapter hooked up to the DLC, J box going in here. There is your Ethernet cable to that portion of it, and then just connections up top. Here's your J box, and here's your Ethernet with the adapter. Once that's made, hit OK and continue forward. So this is the screen that you'll get when you're starting a new session. It just identifies a vehicle, production date, VIN, all that. You hit OK. That is the next screen that we will get. It's telling you that it's going to communicate with all the modules and see what needs to, what the program status is of each and all modules. And then it'll go straight to this page, which it's asking you if any control units were replaced. Again, this is to show you steps of how to do programming on an F chassis. You're obviously going to be looking to know how to program, because for a reason to do so, whether you've replaced a module or you're looking to see if there's any updates available. This will show you, this has the capabilities of doing a lot of modules, all but the infotainment style most bus fiber optic control units. It does not have the ability to do that. You need a whole different setup and system to do a most bus module. This can do your other modules, powertrain control, DME, EGS, ABS, cluster, down to body modules, headlight modules, fuel pump modules, any of those other modules it can do. You get a fresh brand new DME, you put it in, you go in here, you say yes, I replaced the DME, and it'll formulate a programming plan based on that, knowing that a new DME has been installed, and it'll make a programming session bringing everything else up to date along with programming the replaced component. If you don't have a replacement module and you want to just see if there's updates, which it'll show you on programming number status after this, you just hit no and go forward. Sometimes you are able to use modules, but most of the time with BMW, you are not able to do them. So this would probably pertain more for just new blank modules that you're installing, replacing, and want to program and code it and align everything correctly. This unit is able to do that. I'll hit no and go forward. This page now is different, couple different options and menus. The one we're going to be interested in is programming and coding. car key memory, you can go in there and change some settings. Say like with the remote, you hit lock and you want your lights to flash or not flash when hitting the lock or unlock. There's a bunch of different settings there. Retrofits and conversions, you can go in there to change basically vehicle options. Say if you were going from a xenon to non-xenon or something to that type or style, that's where you would go to change basically options. So what we are going to go into is programming and coding. And that's the message. Hit OK. So this is the screen that pops up after that. The area that you're going to want to go into is this complete update. There is this selective update, which that refers to basically if you want to concentrate on one module in particular, say instrument cluster, and just check for updates or update just the cluster, that's where you would go. BMW's thing is when you want to update a vehicle or you have replaced one single module, it has basically kind of forces you to update and program and code the whole car, which again, as I said, can be very time consuming, up to 3-4 hours. And so this is set up to be able to cut down the time and just shoot for one module and get that over and done with. It's a good option, but I always particularly like to just use complete update because it brings everything up to date or aligned with how the complete vehicle's software, along with individual updated softwares, everything comes up in sync and aligned, all in one fashion, one matter, one shot. I found it to work best when doing these vehicles, but it's just the downside. It's time consuming and you have to be set up for it with a good power supply and good power to your tablet and good internet also. So let's go ahead and go forward with that to show you what that entails. And then this is the next screen that comes up after you hit complete update. It's basically your main page for the programming session plan that it formulates. And a little breakdown of this, the things you want to consider looking at. It tells you vehicle information, VIN number, mileage, and all that. The important things to look at on this breakdown: your eye level, integration level, which is here, 1, 2, 3. You know it says planned, old, new. This is what your vehicle's complete main software version basically is comprised of, that software number, and then this is what it was made with or left the plant with. That is the number it left with. Think of this eye level number as kind of like a Windows 95 version, and then Windows 10, XP, so on and so forth. So it's your main major software number, but within that each module has different sub programming number versions as well. That's why I like to do the whole car to bring everything up to a fresh new eye level with all modules up to that eye level's recommendation or needed versions. A way to tell to see if you do have an update, check the number. So that's what it was made with. This is what it currently has, which is the same. And then if you go through the programming session, a new one will be applied, and if it's different from the previous one, a higher number, then there is an update available, which this one definitely does have a higher number and different numbers, so there is one available. this here, your SAs, these are basically your vehicle option codes. And here is your estimated time frame for programming. It's usually pretty much pretty close to that. So you have to make sure you're able to accomplish that. And then on this is the list of modules that it will be able to program, or that it will program, and after that it'll go through coding on them, and then some actions that it performs when finishing all that programming and coding. The other versions, the e-chassis versions, it'll actually have module programming numbers, an old one and a new one, and again you can compare the old and new that are listed. If there's a new one that's different than the old one, then that particular model will have an update. This on the F chassis, it does not go in that detail. It's just listing what it will program or can program. From this point, if you want to go forward and you're able to maintain the vehicle for X amount of hours where it's at with a good power supply, you hit execute measure plan. And from then on, you have to babysit the programming session and come back to it. You can't just walk away for 4 hours and come back and think that it's going to be done, because it will ask you to perform certain actions, confirm certain things, to turn the key on and off, cycle it, hit yes or no to some questions it asks you. So periodically come back to it, check the scanner, make sure power supply is still good, make sure there's no questions being asked, because it can sit there asking you to confirm something for 4 hours, and if you've never confirmed it, it will not go forward with it. So keep an eye on it, babysit it, and make sure power supply on the tablet and car are good. Once you hit execute measure plan, it's going to ask you to make sure the tool is connected to the internet, and it'll go onto the server, and it'll retrieve the file, the programming file, down to your tablet unit, and then from the tablet through your J-box to the car. This is why it is important, or you can only do it with a current valid subscription with the Autel, and that is what grants you access to be able to do this on BMWs. Depending on the size of the file, how many programming modules you're going to need, this download time is affected. A lot of modules, it'll take a long time to download the file. If it's one quick, short, selective update, then that's what this will do. Quick and short. Once your download's complete, it asks you to make your connections, which we have already made, and to go forward. Once it does that, your programming will start with the listed control modules, and it'll have a programming update sidebar. Again, telling you about the power supply. And whatever modules you pick, or that it will do, it'll list them, the action that it's doing, and the progress and the status. This in the F chassis is a little bit different than the E chassis, but it's still all the same concept. I, on this one, am particularly doing a selective update, which again I know contradicts what I said and state about doing individual modules, but again, I attempted this last night. The file was and things will happen when you're going through programming, so don't freak out. But I attempted to download the file and start everything yesterday, but that file for the huge amount of time complete update was maybe only 20% downloaded in about 2 hours, and that's not even the programming session, just the file download. So due to time constraint and vehicle needing to be given back, I am opting for updating just the cluster due to the customer having issues with the heads-up display, and the cluster is responsible for that. There is also a bulletin that refers to some heads-up display issues that requires the update of the cluster software, and it's all dependent upon eye levels as well. You check your numbers, what you have, and what the bulletin says requires a minimum number or higher version. So that's why it's important to look at all your numbers, and when aiming to program a vehicle for a particular reason. Again, contradicts what I said and states, but it's good. It gives you the option to give you a selectable module, or 2, 3, 4 modules, as opposed to say 10, 20, or whatever. So we'll watch this. This will start from 0 and go all the way up to 100. And once it's completed, you follow those steps. Again, eyeball it, see if it asks you to turn the key on or off, and just go from there. This is pretty much it where I'll probably end it. There's not much more after this. Just stay on top of it. Make sure things are going well. And once it's completed, it just walks you through, a certain of hit yes and complete the steps. And it'll give you a final report where it'll tell you all modules that were programmed and the status, meaning successful, if they all did. If one didn't program for a reason, it'll have a failed status, and then you'll tackle that as you need to, if it needs to be replaced or whatever. So this is the way. This is the way that I do my programming with the Autel Elite that I have and use. It's not giving me any issues, even on F chassis, by making sure power supply is good internet, good tablet power supply, and all the provided correct cables. I've not had any type of issue. Some people try to claim that it's not a good way to do it with this J-Box and the Autel. But if this is the equipment you have, this is how you can make it happen. Follow the steps, and hopefully you won't have any issues. It's worked for me in the past, and hopefully you pick up something and it helps, and that it'll work for you as well. So that's all on this one. On to the next one.